Julian Reeves sat on a steel bench inside the engineering bay of the space station Tarsize 1. The soft hum of machines filled the air. He was tired, his eyes heavy, his hands covered in grease and fine wires. Yet he didn't complain. Julian was a human engineer working far from Earth in the center of the Galactic Federation. Most of the workers here were alien stall ones with blue skin, small ones with floating eyes, and silent ones who communicated through color. But none of them could fix what was now broken. The Federation's energy core, a huge glowing sphere that powered the station and nearby transport systems, was failing. If it shut down, everything, lights, oxygen, gravity, would stop, and worse, the nearby sun would pull the station into its fiery death. Many alien scientists had tried to fix. It all failed. The machines they built were too complex. Their logic was perfect, but their solutions did not work. Julian was different. He didn't rely only on logic. He used instinct, guesswork, and sometimes just a feeling. The aliens didn't understand it, but they watched him closely. Julian knelt beside the main control panel. It's not the core itself, he said softly. It's the regulator unit. Thinking too fast. One of the alien supervisors, a tall creature with silver tendrils, blinked. Thinking too fast. That is not a technical term. Julian smiled. No, but it makes sense in my head. Opened the panel and pulled out a wire no alien had dared touch. He wrapped it with a copper coil made from scrap, then using a laser cutter, he carefully slowed the pulse frequency of the machine by changing its timing nodes. Try it now, Day. The control room lights blinked. For a second, everything went dark. Then the energy core roared back to life. Bright blue light filled the station, systems rebalanced, alarms stopped, gravity returned. The station was safe. Silence filled the engineering bay, then applause. Not claps, but flashes of color, echo pulses, and wing vibrations. The many ways aliens showed thanks. Julian wiped sweat from his brow. That should hold for now, he said, sitting down again. The High Council of the station, made of the wisest beings from 5 planets, arrived soon after. Their leader, a soft-spoken being named Zelton, floated forward. You have done something no other species could, Zelton said. You saved not just this station, but every life on board. We wish to reward you. Julian looked around. No need. I was just doing my job. That is what makes you worthy, Zelton replied. Still, a reward is tradition. Julian gave a small laugh. Well, maybe just let me sleep for a day or two. The council agreed and left. Julian returned to his quarters. It was a small, clean room with a bed, a desk, and a small window that showed the distant stars. He removed his boots, lay on the bed, and closed his eyes. For the first time in weeks, he felt peace. He didn't know that elsewhere in the station, a message had been sent to a quiet part of the Valari embassy. A request had been answered, and someone had already begun walking toward his room in the quiet corridor outside his door. Soft steps echoed. The figure moved silently, barely touching the ground. She was not human. Her skin shimmered like moonlight. Her eyes glowed silver. She wore a long robe of soft blue light. Her name was Lieri. She was Valarian, one of the rare empathic species in the Federation. Lieri stood outside Julian's door. She touched the panel, and it opened with a quiet sound. Inside, Julian was asleep. She stepped in gently, her movements calm and respectful. She stood near the bed, watching the man who had saved the station. After a moment, Julian stirred. His eyes opened slowly. First, he saw only the soft light around her, then her face. Who? He began, sitting up quickly. Who are you? I am Lieri, she said, in a voice as soft as music. I was sent by the council. Julian rubbed his eyes. They said I'd get a reward, not a visit in the middle of the night. This is the reward, she said calmly. My people, Valeri, help those who carry heavy minds. Bring peace through connection. I am here to help you rest, to guide you in dreams. Julian frowned. You mean like a counselor? Something like that? Lier replied. Do not ask questions. I listen, and I walk with you through the thoughts you hide, even from yourself. He looked at her for a moment. then at the stars outside the window. I've seen a lot of strange things out here, but this is new. You may tell me to leave, she said softly. Julian shook his head. No, you're here now, and I could use the rest. Liari stepped closer and touched his forehead gently. A warm light passed through him like a wave of calm. Julian's eyes closed again, and this time his breathing was easy. As he fell into sleep, Liari whispered, "Let's begin." Julian Reeves slept peacefully for the first time in many weeks. His body rested, but his mind was beginning a journey. It was not just an ordinary dream, it was something deeper, guided by the presence of Liari. Liari stood near the bed, her silver eyes glowing softly in the dim room. She had touched Julian's mind with care. Now she was inside his dream space, walking silently through the memories and thoughts that floated like clouds around him. She found herself standing on green grass. The sky above was a soft blue with white clouds drifting slowly. Birds sang. In the distance, it was Earth, but not real Earth. It was a memory. A peaceful one from Julian's childhood. A younger version of Julian ran across the field, laughing. A brown dog chased him, barking happily. Liari smiled. She had seen many dream worlds before, but this one was different. It felt warmer, more real. In the waking world, Julian turned slightly in his bed. Liari gently guided the dream forward. Suddenly, the peaceful field changed. The sky grew dark. The dog vanished. The young boy was now sitting alone beside a broken machine, crying quietly. Liari knelt beside him in the dream. "This is a memory," she whispered. "A sad one." The boy looked up. "I tried to fix it, but I broke it worse." Dad got angry. He said I should never touch things I don't understand. Liari reached out. "But you kept learning, didn't you?" The boy nodded. "I had to. No one else would fix things." Back in the real world, Julian stirred again, sweat on his brow. Liari returned to herself and stepped away from the sleeping man. She opened her small device and recorded a few notes in her language. Human emotional strength is deep. They hold pain and hope at the same time. Their memories are not just pictures. They carry energy. Powerful living energy. Liari sat down on the floor beside the bed. She began to hum a soft tune, a Valari lullaby, to keep his mind calm. Suddenly, her device beeped quietly. A signal, a strange one. She frowned and touched the screen. It showed something unexpected. While inside Julian's mind, she had detected a flicker, a hidden signal. Not a dream, not a memory. Something else, a shadow. A whisper. It was like a code hiding inside his thoughts. Not from Julian, from something else. Liari's calm expression turned serious. She sent a silent message to her people, requesting guidance. Meanwhile, Julian woke up slowly. He felt rested but also confused. The dream had felt too real. He sat up and looked around. The room was dim, but he saw Liari sitting nearby. Her eyes closed in silent thought. "You're still here," he said. Liari opened her eyes. "Yes, I stayed to watch over your mind." Julian rubbed the back of his neck. "That was intense. I dreamed of Earth, my childhood, my dog, things I haven't thought about in years." "That is the power of guided dreams," Liari said. "They help you remember who you are." He looked at her carefully. "Why does the Federation send people like you?" Liari stood up and spoke gently. "It's not all wounds are physical. Some are hidden in the mind. You saved the station. But your thoughts are heavy. My role is to help you carry them." Liari sighed. "You're not wrong. I haven't had a proper night's sleep since the first time the core failed. I thought, if I messed up, everyone would die." "You did not mess up," Liari said. "You succeeded because you trusted your feeling." Julian smiled slightly. "That's what humans do. Sometimes we fix things by heart, not just by math." Liari nodded slowly. "That is rare in the galaxy. Most species do not trust what they cannot calculate." He looked at her curiously. "And the Valari? What about you?" "We listen, we feel." "That is our way," she replied. There was silence for a moment. Julian stood and walked to the small window. Stars filled the sky. Far away, a comet passed by like a slow-moving flame. This place can feel lonely, he said. Liari came to stand beside him. It does not have to be. Suddenly, Julian turned toward her. That dream. There was a moment that didn't feel like my memory. Something cold. Something wrong. Liari's eyes narrowed slightly. Yes, I felt it too. What was it? He asked. I am not sure, she answered honestly. But it did not come from you. It was something else. Hiding. Julian frowned. You think something got into my mind? Not exactly. More like something left a trace, Liari explained. I need to examine it more, but you are safe now. Julian stepped back, trying to understand, so this dream connection. Can it show things no one else can see? Yes, Liari said. That is why I was sent. And now I believe it was not just to help you rest. There may be more. Julian nodded slowly. Then let's find out. Together. Liari looked at him with respect. Very well, we must. Be careful. What hides in the mind is sometimes more dangerous than what we face outside. They both turned back to the window. In the distance, the stars kept burning. But now, a new mystery had begun. And Julian Reeve, the quiet human engineer, was once again at the center of it. The next night, Julian Reeve lay back on his bed again. The room was quiet. Outside the window, a giant gas planet glowed with soft orange rings. But Julian was not looking at the stars tonight. He was thinking about the strange signal Liari had found inside his dream. Beside him, Liari stood still. She placed her fingers gently on his forehead. Are you ready? She asked softly. Julian nodded. Let's go back in. She closed her eyes. A small glow surrounded them both. Slowly, Julian's breathing became slower and deeper. The dream connection had begun. The dream opened with a soft breeze blowing through tall green grass. Julian stood in the middle of a peaceful meadow. Sunlight warmed his face. Trees danced gently in the wind. It was one of his favorite memories, a family camping trip from long ago. Liari stood beside him in the dream, watching everything. This is where your heart feels safe, she said. Julian smiled. Yeah, I come here sometimes in dreams. It's like my own quiet place. But Liari looked to the horizon. A dark cloud was forming small, but growing fast. It's returning, she whispered. The cloud began moving closer, slowly covering the sky. The trees lost their color. The grass turned gray. Julian looked around. This isn't normal. Liari agreed. This is not part of your memory. They both moved toward the dark cloud. As they got closer, they felt a strange energy in the air, cold, sharp, and silent. It was like standing near something that did not want to be seen. Then the ground cracked open. From beneath the earth, long black shapes rose. They had no clear form, just moving shadows, twisting in the air like smoke. They made no sound, but Julian could feel them trying to reach his thoughts. He stepped back. What are those things? Liari raised her hand and spoke calmly. They are not alive in the normal way. They are psychic shadows. Traces of a mind virus. Very old, very dangerous. Julian's face went pale. So it really is inside me. Only a small part, she said, but it hides deep. It wants to grow. Shadows moved faster now, surrounding them. Julian tried to think clearly, but the air in the dream felt heavy. The shadows whispered not in words, but in feelings. Doubt, fear, guilt. Liari stepped in front of Julian and raised her hands. A bright light burst from her palms, pushing the shadows away. They screamed without sound and sank back into the cracks. The ground became stable again. The sky cleared a little. Julian took a deep breath. Thank you. Liari looked at him carefully. You fought them too. Your mind resisted. That's rare. Julian frowned. But I didn't do anything. You did more than you know, she said. Those shadows feed on weakness, but you held on to your memories. That's what pushed them back. Julian thought for a moment. So, this virus, Was it what tried to destroy the station? Lyari nodded slowly. I believe so. The energy core failed because something was feeding off the system. It was not just a machine error, it was a psychic infection. But your mind, unknowingly blocked. Your actions fixed the core and stopped the virus from growing stronger. Julian looked surprised. I didn't even know it was there. Sometimes the strongest defenses are silent, Lyari said. The dream slowly shifted again. This time, they stood in a large hall made of glass and light. It was a memory from the engineering academy. Julian remembered this place where he had first learned to take apart machines and rebuild them better. Here is where your mind is sharpest, Lyari said, smiling. This is where your strength lives. Julian walked through the memory with her. As he touched tools and workbenches, the lights grew brighter, felt stronger. I think I'm starting to understand, he said. My memories are more than just thoughts. They're like weapons. Yes, Lyari said. And if we use them correctly, we may find the source of the infection. Julian stopped walking. Wait, you said source. You mean this thing came from somewhere? Lyari nodded. Yes. And it may still be active. Suddenly the dream began to shake. Lights blinked. The walls of the hall cracked. Julian turned quickly. The shadows had returned, but now they were smaller, fewer, and weaker. Still, they were angry. Lyari raised her hands again. We must leave now. If we stay too long, they may follow us back. Julian touched one of the shadows before it vanished. He saw a symbol, a strange shape burned into its center, a triangle. With a spiral, I saw something, he said. A mark. Lyari looked worried. That symbol. I've seen it before. It belongs to an ancient species. Long extinct. They created psychic weapons during the old wars. Julian looked serious. And now something they left behind is inside me? Only a small piece, Lyari said. But even a piece is dangerous. The dream began to fade, but the grass returned. The air became calm again. You should rest now, Lyari whispered. Julian opened his eyes slowly. He was back in his room. Lyari stood nearby, looking thoughtful. I remember everything, he said. All of it, even the mark. Lyari gave him a small nod. Then we must act quickly. Act? If this virus was part of a larger weapon, it could still be out there. And you may be the key to stopping it. Julian stood up. I thought I was just fixing machines, but now it feels like I'm in the middle of something much bigger. You are, she said. He looked out the window. The stars looked the same, but he knew everything had changed. Then let's find the truth, he said. Together, Lyari smiled. Together. The next day, the space station Tarses 1 was alive with activity. The crew moved quickly through the corridors, their faces serious as they worked to keep everything running smoothly. Julian Reeves sat in the quiet of his room, his mind heavy, with the thoughts of what he had learned in his dream. Beside him, Lyari sat in a meditative posture. Her eyes were closed, and she seemed lost in thought. Julian knew that she was trying to make sense of what they had seen together. He, too, was trying to understand the significance of the strange symbol he had seen, the triangle with the spiral inside. It was a mark he knew from somewhere, but he could not remember where. Lyari, he said quietly, breaking the silence. Do you think we're the only ones who know about this thing inside me? She opened her eyes and turned to face him. No, she said. I do not think so. The infection is old, and it is powerful. It may have been dormant for centuries, but now that it has been awakened, others might know. Julian frowned. Others like who? The High Council, Lyari replied. They may have information about this symbol, about the virus. They have kept records from ancient wars that your species may not even know about. Julian felt a chill run through him. You think the Council knew about this all along? I am not sure, Laya said, but I think it is possible. The Federation has many secrets. Not all of them are shared with the rest of the galaxy. Leaned forward, his mind racing. So, what do we do now? Lyari stood up slowly, her movements calm and graceful. We must go to the High Council. We must ask them for the truth. The corridors of Tarses 1 were silent as they walked toward the council chambers. Julian felt a strange sense of unease. He had never been inside the chambers before, and he knew the council was powerful, maybe too powerful. He had seen their strange ways of speaking and their cool, emotionless faces. They were not like the humans he knew back on Earth. Liari, on the other hand, was calm. She walked beside him, her silver eyes alert and focused. When they reached the chamber doors, they were greeted by a tall alien, one of the guards who stood watch over the entrance. "Yari," the guard said, bowing slightly. "Julian Reeve, human hero? What brings you here?" Liari spoke softly. "We need to speak with the council. It is urgent." The guard hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "You may enter." The doors opened with a soft hiss, and they stepped inside. The council chamber was massive, larger than anything Julian had ever seen. The walls were made of shimmering crystal, and the room was filled with an eerie light that seemed to come from nowhere. In the center of the room stood the High Council, each of them floating slightly above the ground, their eyes glowing softly. They were an ancient race of beings, their appearance both beautiful and terrifying. Zelton, the leader of the council, was the first to speak. "Liari," he said in a deep, resonant voice. "Julian Reeve, you are here for a reason. Speak." Julian took a deep breath. "I've had dreams that are not my own. They showed me something dangerous. A symbol. A triangle with a spiral inside. It's linked to a virus, an ancient psychic virus. I think it's inside me, and I think it might be the cause of the core failure on the station." Zelton's eyes glowed brighter. "This is a serious claim." "Human. A virus, you say?" "Yes," Julian said, feeling the weight of the words. "But I don't know how to stop it. Liari helped me see it in my dreams, but the virus, it's not just in my mind. It's connected to something bigger, something older." The council was silent for a moment. Zelton's gaze never left Julian. "The symbol you speak of. It is the mark of the Korthian Empire, a race that no longer exists. They were known for their psychic abilities, but they were also known for creating weapons that could control mind psychic viruses." Julian's heart skipped a beat.
"Oh.
"Korthians created this thing?" "Yes," Zelton replied. "They used these viruses during the Great War. The Korthians sought to control the minds of others, but the Federation could not stop them. Eventually the Korthians were destroyed, their empire lost, or so we thought." Liar stepped forward. "The virus must have been hidden, lost for centuries. But now it is waking again. We believe it is inside Julian because he touched something that triggered its activation." Zelton looked at Julian, his expression unreadable. "This is troubling, very troubling." "I don't want to be part of a weapon," Julian said, his voice tense. "I'm just trying to fix things. But now it feels like I'm trapped inside something I can't control." The leader of the council nodded. "We will help you, human. But you must understand that this virus is ancient. The Korthians used it to control the galaxy. If it is awakened again, it could destroy everything." "What do I need to do?" Zelton asked. Zelton's eyes softened for the first time. "There is only one way to stop the virus. We must find the source, the place where the Korthians stored their weapons. It is hidden somewhere in the galaxy, far from here. If we can destroy it, we can destroy the virus." Julian nodded. "Then let's find it." The council looked at each other, their minds communicating silently. Finally, Zelton spoke. "We will assist you. But you must be prepared for what lies ahead." The Korthians were not easily defeated, and their legacy is still out there, waiting. Liari's eyes glowed brighter. "We will find it, Julian, together." Julian looked at the council, his mind racing. The truth was more terrifying than he had imagined. He wasn't just fighting an ancient virus. He was about to step into the middle of a war that had been over for centuries. But one thing was clear. This was far from over. They had a long journey ahead, and it was a journey that could change everything. The galaxy was vast and unknown. But now, Julian Reeve was about to face something even bigger than the station or the Korthian virus. He was about to confront the dark past of a lost empire, one that had used unimaginable powers to control minds. The journey ahead was dangerous, and the Council had only one plan: to find the Corthian stronghold where the weapons were stored and destroy it. Before the virus spread, Julian stood on the bridge of Tarsize 1, watching the stars stretch out. Ahead, he felt small, but he also felt something else's strength, the strength of humanity. He had always believed that humans could overcome any obstacle, no matter how big. This was his test. Beside him, Liari stood in silence, her silver eyes scanning the star map. She had grown close to Julian during the past few days, helping him understand his dreams and the strange virus inside him. She had become more than just a guide. She was his partner in this mission, and Julian trusted her completely. "Ready," Liari said, her voice calm but firm. Julian turned to face her. "Ready for what?" "The journey," she said. "The Federation will provide us with the coordinates. We need to find the Corthian stronghold. It could be anywhere hidden in a far corner of the galaxy, or buried under the surface of a dead world, but we will find it." Julian nodded. He had heard the rumors. The Corthians had disappeared long ago, leaving only scattered ruins and dark whispers behind. The Federation had done its best to erase their legacy, but some things never truly disappear. "What's our first move?" Julian asked. Liari didn't hesitate. "We'll start with the coordinates the Council gave us. It's a place where the Corthians built something called the Mind Forge. It's rumored to be their central weapons facility. If we destroy that, we can stop the virus from spreading." Julian felt a knot form in his stomach. A weapon that could control minds. He had already felt its power in his dreams, and he knew it was dangerous. But now, it was real, and it was his responsibility to stop it. The journey to the Corthian stronghold took days. The ship moved faster than the speed of light, cutting through the blackness of space. Julian spent most of his time in his quarters, trying to get some rest. But sleep was never easy. The virus still lingered in his mind, a dark shadow waiting to strike. Each time he closed his eyes, the dream world returned. It wasn't the peaceful Earth he longed for. Instead, the shadows came again, whispering, feeding on his doubts and fears. But Liari was always there, helping him fight them back, showing him the strength in his own mind. Night, he often spoke with Liari in quiet tones. She would tell him stories about her people, the Valari, how they had learned to communicate through feelings, emotions, and dreams. Unlike humans, they did not speak with words. Instead, they connected through shared experiences. Julian had never met a species like them. They were so different, but also so similar to humans in some ways. He couldn't help but feel a deep respect for her. She had shown him a new way too. "Understand the world a way that went beyond technology and logic, Liari," Julian said one evening as they looked out at the stars. "How did you learn all of this?" "It's the dream connection, the way you understand people's emotions." She turned to him, her silver eyes thoughtful. "It is something we Valari have always known. It is our gift and our burden. We can connect to others in ways that many species cannot. But it is not always easy. Sometimes we must carry the pain of others. It can be heavy." Julian nodded. "It's not much different for humans, is it? We carry our own burdens, our own fears. We keep moving forward." Liari smiled. "That is true. Humans are strong in ways that are difficult to explain. You hold on to your hope, even in the darkest times. You never give up." After days of travel, the ship finally arrived at the location the Council had given them. It was a small, forgotten planet, one that had been long abandoned. The surface was barren, cracked, and lifeless. There was no sign of life, no animals, no plants, nothing. It was as if the planet had died long ago. The ship landed in a dusty, rocky valley. Julian could feel the weight of the planet pressing down on him. This place felt ancient, cold, empty, and lost. He had a bad feeling about it, but he pushed it aside. There was no turning back now. "Stay close," Liari warned as they stepped outside the ship. The Corthians were known for their traps. If they wanted to hide something, they would make sure no one could find it. Julian pulled on his jacket and nodded. I'm ready. Together they walked into the desolate landscape, their footsteps echoing through the stillness. As they moved deeper into the valley, Julian couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. He looked around, but there was nothing, just rocks and dirt, stretching out in every direction. Then they reached the entrance. It was hidden in the side of a mountain, barely noticeable unless you knew where to look. A large metal door, covered in strange symbols, stood in front of them. It looked old, but strong. Julian could feel the energy radiating from it like something ancient, something powerful. This is it, Liari said, her voice low. The Mind Forge. The heart of the Korthian weapons. Julian stepped forward, his hand on the cold metal. The door slowly creaked open, revealing the darkness inside. The air was thick with the scent of old machinery and dust. But somewhere, deep inside, Julian knew this was where it all ended. The time had come to stop the Korthian legacy, to end the virus that had haunted his mind and the galaxy for so long. The air inside the Korthian stronghold was cold and stale, thick with the weight of ancient secrets. Julian Reeves stepped into the dark corridor, his heart racing. The walls around him were made of a dark metal that gleamed faintly, covered in strange, glowing symbols. The air smelled like rust and forgotten power. Liari walked beside him, her eyes scanning everything. Stay alert, she said quietly. The Korthians were known for their traps and defenses. This place is more than just a weapon storage facility. It's a place of power. We must be careful. Julian nodded, his hand resting on the side of his blaster. He wasn't sure what to expect, but he knew it wouldn't be easy. The Korthians had been a powerful empire, and whatever they had left behind could be just as dangerous. The virus that had infected his mind was proof of that. As they moved deeper into the stronghold, the hallway grew narrower, and the temperature dropped. The silence was oppressive. Julian could hear his own footsteps echoing in the emptiness. The walls seemed to close in on him, as if the structure itself was watching. At the end of the hallway, they reached a large, circular door. It was covered in the same symbols that had decorated the outside of the stronghold. But this time, the symbols glowed brighter, almost alive. This is it, Liari said, her voice low. The central chamber, the heart of the Mind Forge. Julian stepped forward, his hand on the door. The moment his fingers brushed the surface, the symbols shifted, forming a pattern that seemed to recognize him. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a massive chamber inside. The room was filled with machines unlike anything Julian had ever seen. They were large, complex, and strange, with coils of light and dark energy swirling around them. At the center of the room stood a large pedestal, covered in more symbols. It hummed with an energy that made Julian's skin tingle. This is it, Julian whispered. The Korthian weapon. The Mind Forge. Liari stepped closer, her eyes glowing with a soft light. It's even more powerful than I thought. These machines, they were designed to control minds. To infect them, they could control entire populations. The Korthians used them to bring entire worlds under their control. Julian felt a chill run through him. It felt the power of the virus inside his mind. He could only imagine what it would be like if this machine were allowed to work again. I thought we were just stopping the virus, Julian said. But this... this is worse. Liari nodded, her expression serious. Yes, the virus was only a small part of the Korthian plan. The real power lies here in these machines. If we destroy them, we can stop the virus from spreading. We can erase the Korthian legacy once and for all. Julian took a deep breath. He wasn't sure how they could destroy something this powerful, but he knew they had to try. We have to shut it down, he said. But how? Liari turned to him, her eyes shining with determination. We must connect to the system. The Korthians left a way for those who are strong enough to control it, but it's dangerous. If we make the wrong move, we could activate the virus again. Julian's heart raced. He had no idea what they were getting into, but they didn't have a choice. They had to stop the Korthians. They had to protect the galaxy. I'll do it, Julian said. I've been connected to the virus before. Maybe I can fight it. Liari hesitated, but then she nodded. Very well, I will help you. We do this together. Julian stepped toward the pedestal, feeling a strange pull in his chest. The closer he got, the more intense the energy became. His mind buzzed with thoughts, some his own, some not. The virus was here. It was waiting. He placed his hands on the pedestal, and the symbols around him glowed brighter, responding to his touch. A low hum filled the room, and Julian's vision blurred. For a moment, it felt as though the entire stronghold was alive, reaching out to him. He could feel the virus, twisting, pulling, whispering. You cannot stop us, the voice seemed to say in his mind. We are everywhere. You are nothing, Julian. Clenched his fists. I am not nothing. He felt a surge of strength. The memories, the painful memories, flashed through his mind. The childhood he had left behind. The people he loved, the struggles he had faced. But most of all, he felt something that was uniquely human, a deep, unbreakable will to fight. To survive? You're wrong, Julian said aloud, his voice steady. I am human, and we don't give up. With a final push, he reached deep into the pedestal, searching for the core of the system. He felt the virus try to push back, but it wasn't strong enough. He remembered Liari's words, her calm, steady presence. She was with him, guiding him, helping him to focus. Finally, with a loud crack, the pedestal began to collapse. The machines around the room flickered and died, one by one. The energy that had filled the room drained away, leaving only silence. Julian collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. His hands shook, but he knew they had done it. The Mind Forge was destroyed, Liari knelt beside him, her eyes full of relief. You did it, Julian? It's over. Julian looked up at her, his heart pounding. We did it together. As the silence settled around them, Julian realized something. This wasn't just a victory over the Corthians or the virus. It was a victory for humanity, for the strength of the human spirit. He had faced something ancient, something terrifying. He had survived. And now, with Liari by his side, he knew that the future was full of possibilities. The Federation had a new understanding of humankind, just as a young, unpredictable species, but as one with the power to face the darkness, no matter how deep it went. The stars outside the stronghold's windows seemed to shine a little. Brighter as Julian stood up, he wasn't alone anymore. And for the first time, he felt at peace.